This film will explain these 11th grade language arts objectives by comparing the research process to bass fishing tournaments. We will use an acronym, so please write these letters down the left side of your notebook paper with a space or two between them if you think you'll need it. Bass fishing. BASSFISHING. We will add to each letter throughout the film. A bass fishing tournament competitor begins getting ready weeks before the first tournament. He makes sure he has his fishing license and all of his tackle is packed in his boat. Good anglers and good researchers are prepared ahead of time. The first letter of our acronym, B, stands for Bring Your Materials Daily. To research effectively, students must prepare by bringing all related notes and handouts, along with paper and a pencil or pen for creating T-notes. On a really good fishing day, a bass angler will catch more fish than the allowed limit, which is 5 fish. He has to assess which 5 probably weigh the most and then culls out the rest to throw back in the lake. Researchers must also choose which sources have the most reliable information and discard the weaker sources. The letter A stands for Assess strengths and limitations of each source. Students must determine if the source is an authoritative or expert source on their research subject. Sources like Wikipedia, Ask.com, Sparks Notes, Cliff's Notes, etc. are not considered authoritative sources. While some people fish for an hour or two, bass tournament anglers typically fish from daylight until late afternoon for several days of pre-fishing plus 2 tournament days. They are used to more sustained fishing. Researchers must be able to research for short or long periods of time as well. The third letter, S, stands for Short and More Sustained Research Projects to Answer a Question, including self-generated questions, or solve a problem. Save your notes as you will have both short and more sustained research projects during the school year. An experienced bass angler demonstrates his knowledge of how bass behave. He knows they like to hide in brush, for example, so he focuses on areas of the lake with brush and other places for fish to hide. The fourth letter, another S, stands for Show Your Subject Knowledge. Good research writing demonstrates the student's increased knowledge of the subject. The second word for our acronym is fishing. Bass anglers only keep fish that are 12 inches or longer, and they may bring no more than 5 fish to weigh in at the end of a tournament. This is a standard rule across the country for bass tournaments and ensures everyone follows the same guidelines. The letter F stands for Follow a Standard Format for Citation. High school and university English teachers across the country use MLA or Modern Language Association style. This practice means all English students follow the same guidelines, just as bass tournament competitors do. MLA research papers require parenthetical citations and a works cited page. Bass tournament anglers are unusual in that they promote conservation of natural resources. In fact, they have special storage on their boats called live wells that keep fish in aerated lake water to keep them alive and as healthy as possible. Once the tournament is over, the fish are thrown back into the lake to reintegrate or mix them back into the lake's ecosystem. The letter I stands for Integrate evidence into text selectively to maintain the flow of ideas. In other words, your paper should include a great deal of your own analysis or words connecting the ideas. Less than 30% of the words in your entire research paper should be from your sources, whether they are quotes, paraphrases, or summaries. The best bass tournament anglers use a practice called pre-fishing. This means that, before a scheduled tournament, an angler will travel to the lake on which the tournament will be held to fish 1 or more days before the tournament begins. They commit a great deal of extra time to search for bass using advanced search methods such as studying lake water levels, making GPS coordinates of productive fishing spots, and locating favorite bass habitats in the lake. The letter S in FISH stands for Search Effectively Using Advanced Search Methods. While internet search engines like Bing, Yahoo, and Google are fine for casual searches for information, students should use the academic searches such as Google Scholar, OneSearch, and/or other searches suggested by your instructor. While most bass anglers are honest and follow the rules, there are cheaters in any sport. Some anglers have cheated by putting lead weights in a fish's mouth right before weigh-in, while others have caught fish before the tournament and tied them to a rope at the bottom of the lake so they can bring the fish in the next day. Using rule-breaking, unfair practices can result in penalties such as no score, removal from the tournament, and suspension. The letter H stands for have safeguards against plagiarism and over-reliance on any one source. Plagiarism is using the ideas or words of another person without giving credit through appropriate recognition of the contribution. This is done by listing the source, if used in your project, on your Works Cited page and by using parenthetical citations according to MLA style. Students are responsible for making sure they understand and follow the guidelines by reviewing them carefully and asking questions well in advance of the project due date. Students who don't show academic integrity by plagiarizing will get an F on the project. This is important to learn now because universities and workplaces have even stiffer penalties for cheating of all types. University students who repeatedly plagiarize are typically suspended, just like bass tournament anglers who don't follow the rules. Many anglers enjoy the competition and have a good sense of humor. While this gentleman may wish he was holding a fish, he can't weigh in his imaginary fish, so it won't be listed on the tournament results at the end of the tournament. He can't take credit for what he didn't catch. The letter I stands for include only sources you actually used in the writing of your project on the Works Cited page, which goes on the last page of your project or essay. Do not list sources that you did not use. At the first light of day, bass tournament competitors jet across the lake at top speed. They can't fish an entire lake in 7 or 8 hours they're usually given, so they have to narrow their focus to certain areas. If they don't catch fish in the first spot they try, they broaden their search to include other areas of the lake. Researchers may also need to modify their search for information. The letter N stands for narrow or broaden your topic as needed. In an essay or project of just a few paragraphs or pages, students only have space to cover a certain amount. Writing about a topic that is too broad will result in an essay that barely touches on the subject, while writing about a topic that is too narrow will result in a student who struggles to meet the minimum requirements of sources, citations, and length. You may need to reword your thesis as you learn more about your subject during the research process. Most bass anglers who win a tournament or even a state championship weigh in the maximum number of fish allowed, which is 5. While a competitor may have caught the biggest bass of the tournament, if that is the only fish he or she weighs in, it's unlikely to top the charts. 5 fish give an angler the best chance to place in a tournament. The letter G stands for gather information from multiple sources and avoid over-reliance on any one source. Be sure to use at least the minimum number of sources required by your teacher, but don't hesitate to use more if you don't have enough evidence to support your topic. Several sources, just like several fish, are always better than one. This concludes the comparison of bass tournament fishing to the research process. Good luck with your project!